So hi guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is V. For today's video I am going to be opening up my laptop and reading you guys my personal statements and giving you some advice on how to write a great personal statement to get yourself into any institution of your dreams. Obviously I can't give you very specific advice in terms of for you, exactly you who's watching at home right now, you with your socks on and your cup of tea watching the screen right now. I don't know what degree you're applying for, I don't know what university you're applying for, so my advice can only go so far, but I have in my time written now a total of 5 personal statements and all 5 have gotten me into the things that I've applied for. So if you're new, here's a little bit of background just in case you might be wondering, is she qualified to give this advice or not? My first personal statement was for UCAS, and that is the UK system for applying for universities, and you apply to 5 universities, and I applied for Exeter, East Anglia, Manchester, Queen Mary, I can't remember the rest, but that personal statement was my first one and I got into my universities, so woohoo. The next one was for Oxford University for their foundation year and I applied and I got in, woohoo. Then the next one was for Oxford University again, but for an undergraduate degree, got in for that too. And the next one was for Harvard University for postgraduate study, which I'm starting next month, and I got in for that too. And the last one, which I don't really like talking about because we didn't really get it, but I did apply for funding for Harvard and I wrote a new personal statement, but we did get in to the interview stage and we got as far as, like, you know, getting the interview, but sadly I didn't quite make the cut and get the funding. So I guess you can say 4 out of 5, which is a good success rate, right? Well, 5 out of 5 because I had to get an interview. You decide, let me know in the comments. Oh, and last thing, for Oxford I was studying classical archaeology and ancient history, and for Harvard I'll be studying international education policy, just in case it helps you understand like why I'm referencing education and history within my personal statements. But that's my experience and I have all of those personal statements loaded on here and I'm going to read parts of each of them out to you guys alongside with the advice. Let's get straight into it and I hope you guys enjoy. Oh, one last thing, please press subscribe because we are growing and glowing. We're on our way to 160,000 subscribers and that was my goal for the end of summer, so I would really appreciate it if you're new right now for you to press subscribe, and if you're old for you to press the notification bell so that you know every single time that I post and you don't miss out on anything, because sometimes the YouTube algorithm, you just don't see my videos and I want you guys to make sure you get to see them. So please press subscribe and please turn on your post notifications, and let's get straight into the video. Okay, so my first tip is you must show and don't tell, and that sounds like such a basic piece of advice, but it's so crucial. I think when I've read people's personal statements, because I get sent a lot which I look over sometimes, I can't do it all the time, but I do that sometimes for the people that I mentor, and when I'm reading it I'm like, I know what you mean when you say I've been passionate about medicine since the day I was born. You're trying to convey the notion that you absolutely are in love with your degree or the idea of studying medicine, and you just want to tell them, so the only way you can articulate it is by saying I'm so passionate about it and have been for my entire life. And that in like a conversation will be good, but on paper it's not great because that doesn't really tell you anything. All it says is you've said you're passionate. It doesn't really show them that you're passionate, it just tells them that you're passionate, which is not good enough in a personal statement. You've always got to show. So I'm going to give the example and then I'll read it out from one of my personal statements. I believe it was the Oxford one, where you can say I'm really passionate about helping people and education. Okay, great, whatever. But in your personal statement you could say, in my spare time, as I did, alongside my A-levels and juggling a part-time job at McDonald's, I also went and volunteered at my local high school teaching history to GCSE students, and that was how I spent my time because I care so much about my subject, which is history that I'm applying for. I care so much about helping other students, so in my spare time I went out of my way when no one told me to do this voluntary work because I care, and it was a whole year. So instead of me just saying, oh, I'm passionate about history and also helping young people, my personal statement has said it because I've given evidence for it. Do you know what I mean? So that's tip number 1. Try to not waste your words by just saying I'm very passionate or I'm very excited about this. No, you're just telling me. I want you to back it up with some evidence, you know? So let's open up the laptop. Oh, okay, so this was my personal statement for Oxford, I believe. It was probably one version of it, because this is definitely not the finished version. But I said, alongside my A-level studies, I completed a year's work experience as a teaching assistant at Wellesley High School, planning and delivering history lessons to groups of GCSE students. This was exciting as it allowed me to express my love for history in an active, creative and intellectual manner. I particularly enjoyed sharing my knowledge about the importance of key figures like Hippocrates and Galen in the history of medicine. Exploring why religion led people in the Middle Ages to whip themselves as a means of curing the Black Death was interesting, as my class challenged me to question, develop and revisit my knowledge. This placement improved my willingness to adapt in a new environment and growing confidence while gaining leadership skills. Aww. That was one of my paragraphs, just to show that I loved history so much and why I was excited to study it at university level. Another way that I showed it was at school. We had the chance to do an extended project qualification, and I chose to do mine on history, on slavery, and I know that that wasn't exactly what I was applying for at university, but I managed to turn it around and make it fit what I was applying for. Also, in your personal statement, what you want to do is, if you're going to talk about personal experiences or things that are personal to you, try to always tie it all back to the degree you're applying for. Everything you say, everything must always try to tie it back, even if there's no connection. So for example, if you're talking about, I don't know, that you love playing football, yes, that might be not relevant to you going to study history, but you could flip it and say, as someone who's been playing football, I was the coach and the leader in the team, and I learned the skills of how to do A, B, C, D, which I can apply when I'm doing history at your institution because I blah, 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 blah. So always try to find a common thread. And I really wanted the people reading my personal statement to know that I was from Zimbabwe. I don't know why. It's something that I've always wanted to share with everyone and anyone. So I put it in my personal statement and I'm going to read it to you. And it's been in every single one of my personal statements. The Oxford one, the Harvard one, all of them. And I don't know why. I said, being born and raised in Zimbabwe has sparked my interest in historical topics such as chattel slavery. Conducting my EPQ on the transatlantic slave trade led me to read Eric Williams' Capitalism and Slavery. I found Williams' work thought-provoking as he offered a different perspective on the reasons why Britain abolished the trade in 1833. And then I just go on and on and on and on and on and on. And like, it just makes it sound really cool. Like, okay, she was born and raised in Zimbabwe, so she's taking her personal roots to go and find out more about a subject that she loves outside of the classroom. So it wasn't like someone told me to go and study this. This was what I wanted to do in my own spare time. Next thing is, you must follow the guidelines of whatever institution you're applying for. For example, Oxford and Harvard have very different requirements for what should be in your personal statement. With Harvard, they want to teach you how to change the world. They want to teach you to become world leaders, agents of change, and how to go on to make an impact in the world. Whereas with Oxford, they're a lot more academic. They care more about what have you done in your spare time that's extremely academic, that's going to contribute to your studies when you're here. So I feel like my personal statements for both of those institutions were very, very, very different and had very different requirements. So when I was looking at Oxford's website, what they wanted is just not what Harvard would have wanted, and you've got to make sure you look up what your institution needs. My Harvard one needed to be a lot more personal, a lot more about what you've done as a person, what makes you stand out as a future world leader or as a future contributor to making change that's going to last for generations to come. So now we're going to move on to reading some extracts from the Harvard personal statement, and hopefully it'll be helpful. Okay, right. So in this paragraph, I spoke about why Harvard and why that degree. You've got to be quite clear and unapologetic about the fact that you want to study at that institution, or if you are doing like a UCAS application where you can't be specific about the institution because you're applying to like 5, try to be specific about why that degree. Just try to make everything as concrete and as like, I want this and I'm not sorry about it. I'm not like being wishy-washy. I'm being straightforward. This is what I want. And you just got to be like upfront with it. And I'm making all these faces because I don't know how to articulate it, but you just got to be stern with it and just be like, hello, I'm here and I want you to know I'm here. So like, see me. You know what I mean? So my see paragraph, I said, I am confident that studying international education policy will provide me with the academic knowledge that I need for the future when I hope to begin leading educational reform in Zimbabwe and its neighbouring nations. My mission is to work in a global community dedicated to ensuring that all children, girls especially, receive a free, safe and uncompromised education. I want to learn how to use technological resources and to combine them with the existing local knowledge of affected communities and create innovative solutions for educational advancement. The practical nature of this course strongly appeals to me as it combines academic thinking with practical solutions. And then I just go on and on and on. My next point is that try your best to be quite like extra about your extracurricular and really big yourself up, because I'm so sure that whatever you've been doing in your spare time is phenomenal. And a lot of people always worry thinking, oh well, if I didn't pay for the experience, or if I didn't have it all privately funded, or if it's not something extraordinary and exceptional, like I don't know, going to see the pyramids in Egypt or doing this and all that kind of crazy stuff, then they're not gonna see you or you're not gonna stand out. And that's just not true at all. Like, my personal statement is full of the most humble things that sound amazing, like in terms of how I express myself in my personal statements about my job at McDonald's. Honestly, even when I'm reading it, I'm like, damn, the girl worked hard. Like, any situation that you've been in your life, any experience you've had is actually so valuable and you probably won't even realize it. And the books you read in your spare time, is it the lectures that you've attended online, is it the summer courses that you've taken for free online, or is it going to your local town hall and shadowing the local mayor or something because you care so much about politics? Or did you go and volunteer at a hospital and like help out on the front desk because you just were so interested in understanding the mechanisms of a hospital and how it operates? Or were you volunteering at your local high school teaching GCSE history for free just because you care so much? Like, try to dig deep and think about everything you've been doing up until this moment that could contribute to showing your love for your subject. And I think people underestimate extracurriculums because they just think, oh, it's got to be something that's so out of this world. And it's like, no, actually it can be quite simple, and it says 1,000 words. It's like, even though you had limited resources, you still went out of your way and found a way to make it happen. And I think that's so impressive. So if you can, please try to like dig deep and don't think that any of your experiences in life so far are wasted, because they're not. And that's why I wanted to do this video, to show you guys I did not pay for any of the experience on my personal statements, and it still got me into both Oxford and Harvard. And I think that's just really cool. So if you have any experience at all, it'll be worthwhile to mention. So just dig deep and like think about everything you've done. I mentioned Empowered by V in my personal statement. I said, I take great pride in the network and community I am building, and it gives me a great privilege to mentor aspiring young people who want to shape their own narratives and futures. In 2018, I launched my Access initiative, Empowered by V, and have since hosted 2 academic conferences for over 300 students, traveled to local schools to empower and mentor students about opportunities within their communities and beyond. For my efforts and drive to create change within my community, I was awarded the Future Leaders Award by the UK Prime Minister, the Rare Rising Stars Award by Members of Parliament, and the Diversity and Equalities Champion Award by Oxford's Vice Chancellor. The leadership and communication skills I have developed through Empowered by V will give me the confidence to integrate myself into American culture and engage with many initiatives at Harvard's Graduate School of Education, such as the Ed Talk and the Black Student Union, that help students feel empowered. Yeah, so that paragraph there was just me saying, this is what I do in my spare time. I created an Access initiative because I care so much about what I was doing and wanted to do it my own way and help students, for the students, by the students. And taking this experience, I was then awarded by people who are really cool, and I've managed to travel around schools, talk to teachers, help make a real impact. So like, you've got to really pack every single paragraph in a way that's like, this is me and what I've done, this is how it's helped me and how I've gained skills that are going to be useful, and this is how I can implement it at your institution studying this degree, and all of it falls full circle. So even if you can't see the connection immediately, you've got to dig deep and find a way of like feeding all of it into each other. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sorry if like me reading these paragraphs is making this video a lot longer than it needs to be, but I feel like, don't just keep giving us advice, share what you've actually written, you know, like why can't I actually tell you what's in my personal statement? Oh, read it and read it out loud and read it out loud again. I can't tell you how many drafts of my personal statements I've written before it comes into this like full fleshed out thing. The amount of drafts I had to write, read it again, then read it again, so many times. So I would always say, like, don't be disheartened if by the 10th time you've written it, it's still not good. I think I've rewritten my personal statement for Harvard maybe like 30 times before it was good enough for me to send off. I lose track because you're editing and editing and editing and editing again. So just remember, like, the first draft is never going to be the final draft. If you can write your personal statement in one draft, call me, teach me, show me, because it is difficult. Get someone to read it out loud to you, because you'll hear the errors yourself straight away. Make every single sentence work for being there. Like, there's always a word count and a word limit, so make sure every single thing you're saying has a purpose and is there for a reason. Don't waste a sentence. You just gotta like make it scream and shout from your personal statement, like, I want to be here. So you've got to make sure you show why you, why them, and why that degree or why that institution. Got to be very like unapologetic about your confidence in your personal statement. Yeah, do your research. Oh my god, okay, I think we should make this the last point because the rest of it is quite similar. Do your research on the thing you're applying for, because I can't express to you how cool it is if you can say, I've done this, I've done that, but I can't wait to do this at your place. Obviously, once again, if you're using UCAS and you're applying to many institutions, talk about modules that are a common denominator across all the subjects you're applying for and all the institutions. Try and find something that's quite common, because you can't be applying for 5 different subjects at 5 different institutions. I'm assuming you're applying for the same subject at different institutions. So try to find a module that might be similar or a theme that's similar. But for me with Harvard, I was applying for Harvard and Harvard only for my master's. I don't know where I got the confidence. I couldn't tell you, but I only applied to one institution, so I could be very Harvard centered in mine. Well, in every single paragraph, to be honest with you, I was dropping in modules that I can't wait to study when I get there. Oh, okay, so I said, once at Harvard, I also hope to engage with the works of leading professors such as Sarah Drysdale-Peterson and Fernando Ramez. In particular, Professor Drysdale-Peterson's research on the role that education plays in building communities and her focus on sub-Saharan Africa greatly interests me as a woman of African descent. So I was quite specific about what module by which professor and which aspect of it I couldn't wait to study. And you can't lie, like, don't just name drop someone just because you just fancy name dropping them. When I had an interview, they asked me, they were like, so you mentioned in your work that you couldn't wait to read this by this professor in this module, can you explain more? And if I'd been lying, I'd have been like, but because I knew what I was talking about and I genuinely can't wait to like be in her classes if I possibly can be, it radiates from you. If you can, try and end it with something like quite punchy, not punchy, but something that's like, hey, I can't wait, I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to hearing back from you with positive news. So we're gonna end with what I put in my Harvard statement, since it's the latest thing I've written, and the other ones I would have changed slightly what I put. But with this one, I said, quite simply, I want to study let's go from the top part. I put, I want to be at the heart of decision making to lead and form global communities dedicated to addressing the urgent international education crisis. Quite simply, I want to study international education policy at Harvard so I can sit at the table with other future leaders, turn my passions into solutions, and become an agent of change for current and future generations across the globe. And that's pretty much it. Like, I tried to read as many snippets as I could from the personal statements, because I know that personal statement writing is not easy. It's quite difficult, and I wish I'd had lots more help when I was doing mine, so I thought I'd read you guys some of mine. So yeah, my last piece of advice on this sheet that I've messed up is why you, why them, and why that degree. Bada boom, bada bang, and that's it. That's the only advice I can give you guys. I hope it was helpful. I know it was quite general, and obviously I have to be, because I'm talking to like thousands of you guys and I don't know what you're all applying for. But if you're applying for international education policy at Harvard University, then this was very helpful. But if you're not, then I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. I hope that was useful. Please comment down below where you're applying and what you're applying for. I'm quite nosy. I love reading the comments, so let me know and I'll be down there with you chit-chatting away. That's it. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video, and please press subscribe if you are new. See you soon, and bye bye.